for Tier 4 at the Hungary. One of the most challenging tracks, I think, that we've got on the calendar this year, and it's a fantastic one as well. 2.7 miles long, 10 turns to the right, 6 to the left, and just one winner who's going to take home a very big prize tonight. Fingers crossed we'll get to see who's going to be the main man as they go past the finish line. Now, we've just got our lobbies sorting itself out here, but while we wait for the cars to arrive on track, I will introduce my co-commentator for the day. He is a walking encyclopedia of knowledge, and it turns out, because he told me when I was talking to him last time, that's because he's got his own encyclopedia out in front of him. It's the one, the only, Carl Evans. Carl, how are you doing tonight?
Evening, Rob. It's great to be part of the comms group again. Tier 4, here we go. Hungary, looks dry for qualifying, jolly good.
Yeah, that's just how we like it. You said that you had quite an eventful race on Monday. How do you find Hungary as a track?
Hungary as a track, absolutely love it because of how the flowing nature of it. The reason why I had a bit of an eventful one is tip to all Tier 4 drivers: do not go 31 laps on the hard tyre. It's a pain.
I mean, it's doable, but I imagine that, yeah, it's quite a challenge.
Well, the 4 or 5 safety cars helped.
Well, fingers crossed we don't get that many tonight. It's it's a race that can throw up quite a few safety cars. The barriers are quite close around here. It is called Monaco without the barriers. As I said, it provides quite a unique challenge, I think, for our drivers. We're just watching our lead car at the moment, CBG Sambal. Let's stay on board with him as he comes around to start our first flying lap, and I will take you round a lap of this gorgeous circuit. I love it. I think it is one of the drivers' favourites, and fingers crossed it's CB Sambal's 2. Let's see if we can put together a really idea. So, we're on board for the high view, so you can see all of the track there. So we're across the start-finish straight, and you'll see that DRS flap wide open, and you're looking on the left-hand side. In between about 150, hard on the brakes, hook it into this right-hander. It's so easy to lose it at the back end under traction here. We've done really well into the next DRS zone, under the bridge, and then you're into another left, braking around about the 50-metre board. It's all about hooking it in. He's got a little bit wide on the apex. You want to go flat out through here. 5, 6, 7th gear. Then you've got one of the hardest corners on the circuit. It's blind, it's left. You really don't want to lift it slightly, but more importantly, keeps it in between the right lines. Then you've got a right turn here. Avoid that curving on the right. It will spin you round. And you're into chicane, brake hard at the 50. Right, left, and then you're into a very technical section, all about being smooth on the gears and on the power to keep your momentum through here as you go left, right, and then you're into this sweeping right-hander. It's almost just a little lift off. He's already going wide. He catches a little bit of the sausage curve, I'm afraid, and he's round. So that won't be the lap he'll be hoping for. He will have invalidated. Let's see if I can jump back on board with the Scottish Ninja, who will continue the lap for us. So here we are into this final section. Now this final section, you're desperate to get on the power as quickly as possible. There's a left, and then it's this final right. You really hook it in here. You're looking for about that first bit of green on the right hand side. That's when I start, put the accelerator down, accelerate as fast as possible. And Scottish Ninja there is across the line with the 118. Puts him, I think that'll be, P2 on track. So, eventful lap there. What do you think are some of the most challenging aspects of this circuit, Carl? You say you love it, but are there any bits that you sort of really dread going around?
Main parts I'd probably say is the dreaded quick flick at turn 4, because of how easy it is to get it wrong, whether it's you cut the corner too much or your back end steps out and you're literally hitting the wall on the left hand side. I would say the exit of 5, because as you get on the sausage curves on the outside, that'll ruin you. As we saw as well, the curve on the outside of turn 11 would cause a lot of hassle, but apart from that, I mean, there's probably plenty more I could pick from, but those are probably the key areas I'd focus on.
Yeah, there's always one or two. I find that Hungary is a track that has a few really challenging corners, particularly that blind left. I think that's all or nothing. It's a confidence corner. That's when you've got to really know your point, get into the flow. Hungary is a flow track, right? Like the more you practice, the more you do it, the more you adapt to the circuit conditions. Suddenly, I found it's a track that I used to hate, and then it just clicked, and all of a sudden it was a joy. The corners don't ever seem to end, do they? And once you're in that rhythm, it feels so nice. I know you race on a pad. For me, who's racing on a wheel, or when I first did it on a wheel, there's nothing quite like it. I can see why it's sort of like a driver's favourite as well, and why it complements where you get so many different sort of race winners and maybe unexpected race winners around here, because it's a very different challenge to other F1 circuits.
And yeah, just touching on what you were saying about the flowing nature, and the more you practice, you more pick it up. I have found the amount of time I've raced here that, especially in MRC, because this was the track I made my debut back in season 1, is it favours. I have found out it does favour my driving style with the understeer of the car and the high downforce. It favours my abilities. And also, one thing I will say about Hungary, especially in that middle sector, because it's literally majority single file through there, the people that do well are mainly the people that can follow.
Yes.
Because it's all single file in that middle part of the lap.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think you're right there. I think we've had a lot of circuits sort of like recently. You took part in the no assist race, which I know wasn't on the official calendar, but we had sort of like Monza and Spa, which are both circuits where if you're feeling crazy, you can run 0-1 wings, right? And you can just put your foot down and the car will do the rest. Round here, you really can't do that. It's high downforce, it's technical. You've got to make sure that you're on it, that you're hitting the apex of every corner every single time. Now, these Tier 4 drivers will, of course, have a little bit of assistance from the racing line, but yeah, don't for one moment think that that's going to make their job any easier. You still need to put the car in exactly the right place. And, more importantly, I think it's about finding where you can carry the speed. It's not point and squirt, is it? It's all just sort of gentle throttle control, making sure that you're on the apex all the time. And, yeah, I think that once you're in a flow on this track, you can... Oh, sorry, I was on board with Ghost Riddles. He's just got it a little bit wrong there. And unfortunately, he finds himself in the wall. He was pushing really hard just as we went into Sector 3, and it's so easy to do through there. That'll be a new bit of front win for the Mercedes driver. Let's see if we can go to somebody else.
Funnily enough, that's the second car you've been on board with that dropped it at turn 11.
I know, as a curse. I should just, every time a car gets to turn 11, I'm going to have to turn it off. And see what we can do.
Another thing about Hungary, especially in that middle sector, is there's quite a lot of curbs that will kill you if you're not careful.
Oh, it's notorious, isn't it? I don't know if on this game it feels like a little bit better, but I remember in the previous years, particularly, I think is it turn 7, the inside of turn 7? You just put one wheel on the inside.
Yeah, that was horrendous. It has got, like you say, it has got better as the games have come along. But yeah, it was horrendous then. I'll have to agree with that one.
It was just a lap ruiner, wasn't it? Just also a big shout out. I see he's in the YouTube comments as well. He's put the wets on and he's just coming out. Martin Hills stepping in for us last minute. I said, what car do you want? And he begged me to put him in a Red Bull because it's his favourite. He loves Max Verstappen. Absolutely adores Christian Horner, and he says that, you know, one day he's living his dream by being able to drive this car. So let's just watch him in all his glory as he takes in that moment. And what a nice moment for the young man. So yeah, shout outs to him. Let's keep on board with we'll go aboard a Necromancer in the Aston Martin, see what time he can come in. Yet to set a time, but we're looking quite competitive. I'm looking up and down the field at the moment. Avalanche with a 117.4. That's really setting the field. And sorry, just as I'm on board with the Aston Martin, I've got the curse tonight, Carl. I'm afraid that is an Aston Martin in the wall. So fingers crossed, he can get it pointed in the right direction. And although he won't carry quite as much speed as he wants, I think he's still got a valid lap on the board. So let's see.
Turn 14 this time.
It was, yeah. I like to mix it up. I like to just mix it up a bit. It was a 130. Or see if he goes for another one. Also, I'm going to stick on board. Let's go with...
Tyres are 2-1, still he's dropped it at 1.
Yeah, that's something you really got to watch out for as well. When you lose it, if you get out of that flow, just calm, take a moment. I remember I've done it before, particularly... This is a track as well that I think it's thrown up quite a few wet races in memory, and that's another reason why you do so well round here. I think it was Season 2 where you came in at 3rd place, one of your first podiums, Carl, is that right? I think it was my first race ever in the league was round here.
Yeah, I do remember that one. It was where I remember it quite vividly. Force India. My teammate that race, who's currently on pole, was my teammate that day was Avinash in the Force India. Yeah, I was caught the commentator out on that day by surprise because of how long I went on those inters.
I think that was when the league was in its infancy. There was only one tier, as it was, and you didn't quite see, because we're at the last race of the flow, isn't it? We've had MRC X tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 is the last one to go. Everybody's sort of seen the strategies that you can do. I think you on that night really sort of surprised everybody by going so long on the inters and making sure it was a thing. And it is strategy is going to be really important here tonight, isn't it? Because you just can't overtake.
Looks to be beached, by the way.
Oh no, that's a shame. Fingers crossed. Let's see. We're going to go past him. There we go. Yeah, Nikolai just going past a beach Aston Martin. Remember, if you are beached legitimately, we will allow a reset to track. But instead, he has retired from the session. So starting far back in P16. It's as I was saying, really hard track to overtake on. It's not one that you want to be stuck in the middle of the pack for. You want a good qualifying round here and to get up the road a little bit, or you can lose so much time if you're stuck behind a slower car, can't you? Nikolai across the line, 15th place, a little bit to make up. Sorry, go ahead.
You're off Martin's Christmas card list, by the way.
Well, that's no problem. I've added him to Christian Horner's, so he can expect a lovely Christmas card from him in the post. So that should make up the difference. Let's go on board. Let's see, we've got Manu in the Mercedes on his outlap. And how much time have we got left in this session? Must be coming to the last 5 minutes now. We've got lots of yellows, unfortunately. Sector 1.
I think it was 5 minutes 45 when I last seen it.
Excellent. So, yeah, once we get rid of our yellows, there we go, 5 minutes. So we're getting into that time where people will be starting to think about putting their last laps in. It's a very close field up there. If you look from 1st to 6th, all in the 117, separated by about half a second. And then there's a fairly good spread as well from 7th down to 11th. We've got a few sort of like packs of 5, and if you're at a fairly similar place, like I say, you said it benefits if you can really follow consistently the car in front. You need to get used to those trains around here, don't you? The last thing you want to do is lose a bit of your front wing on the car in front because you can't react or you're not used to that wheel-to-wheel, nose-to-tail driving.
Definitely, and it really tests your reaction times as well, because we're following so closely as well. If the car loses it in front, you've got to have those cat-like reflexes to avoid them, so it does test you on that as well.
Yeah, I think it really does, and we'll see a lot of cat-like reflexes when we go down into turn 1 on lap 1. It's one of those where you just want to get through unscathed, isn't it? We don't want to see any Bottas bowling tonight, thank you very much. I want to see everybody get through with a nice clean nose. One thing, I'm going to set you a bit of trivia, and apologies if this is done before on any of the previous Hungary streams, but it's a nice little fact, I think, about Hungary, because it's a different style of track. It's known for producing lots of first-time F1 winners, so drivers who have won their first ever Grand Prix in Formula 1. 5 have done it at the Hungarian Grand Prix. 3 of those went on to be world champions. How many can you name?
The first one comes to mind when you say world champions is Jenson Button in 06.
Mm-hmm. It was a fantastic race from 14th place, I think, on the grid. Very entertaining.
Also well known for, I think, Michael Schumacher not finishing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, yeah. There was a lot of stuff happened that day, but yeah, certainly Michael not finishing did aid Jensen a little bit in his quest to find his first ever race win. Any others you can think of? It's okay if it's okay if
obviously the most recent one of the last few years would be Ocon's magnificent drive after the Bottas bowling, as you put it.
Yep.
I will say disappointed for Vettel on that day, because apart from his fuel, he did a solid job sticking with him, but Ocon held his own, keeping a multiple-time world champion behind for lap after lap. Thing is, I've gone blank now.
No,
I
it's
usually don't.
No, it's all right. Also, on board with Winky, unfortunately, has invalidated his lap, so I will go on board with Smith instead as we start to get these final laps. It's odd. It's more than you. If you don't think about it, it's like if you don't. It's one of those facts that I've committed to memory, because it's an odd one, Hungary, and to get Jensen back is really good. One might be slightly before you. One was in 1993. That was one world champion, did it first in 1993. The other one
was that Damon Hill?
It was Damon Hill. Yeah. So,
it just came to me when you said 93.
Well, and if you think about the turn he was able to do in his Arrows in 97, it was clearly one of those tracks that was just top of his list, where he just wanted to roll up the tarmac and take it home with him, because clearly he was very comfortable in it, and that's one of my most painful memories in all of F1. A very unreliable Arrows limping across the line, and Jacques Villeneuve taking an undeserved win and taking a wonderful weekend away from Damon. Smith unable to go faster there. His hards are looking a little worn. I will stick on board then with Brindle, the man in the house. We all know Brindle can be very quick on his day, and this is going to be a last chance saloon. All of these drivers now looking for those vital tenths of a second. He's only 0.010 away from 2000 up ahead. So he'll be looking for any advantage he can get. He's got a Ferrari out in front of him, but he doesn't seem to be phased. Let's see what time he's made up. If any of all those are coming together between the two of them! Oh, goodness me. You might see that again in the stewards. I think they were both on fast laps, but unfortunately the Haas was just a little bit quicker than the McLaren. Than the Ferrari in front of him. So that's all ended in tears. Let's go on board then with the Alfa Romeo of El Cielo 2000. See what he can do, and if he's up in sector 2, very little time to. I don't think Whitey Manu is now up top. He's our leading car with the 117.2. That's an excellent lap. Yeah, Kellogg's he's up, but it's not by much. It might just be enough to put him in P4. The track map's saying he's gone purple in the second sector, but he's going to have to make everything up in this final one as he comes round that last corner, hooks it in on the power. You can see it on the telemetry there. Over and across the line, and it's up into P3. Excellent lap, 117.4. Oh, only 0.01 again away from P2. I'm not going
very tight at the top. Very tight.
Yeah, really tight. What, less than a tenth of a second separating the top four. I'm just going to stick on board with Biff here, one of the last ones on a fast lap. Can Biff go any quicker as he's across the line in? Oh, up into 5th place. Side by side by his McLaren teammate. Yeah. Excellent. That'll be an all orange third row.
7,000 split the two McLarens.
That's not bad, is it? Must be sharing the same setup. But I think that's going to bring an end to qualifying. And boy, what a group we've got there. We've got some very competitive drivers up the top and a few teammate battles to watch out for. Look at that. 3rd and 4th, both Alfa Romeos. 5th and 6th, both the McLarens. And okay, let's take you through the grid just before we move on to the race in question. So, Whitey Manu in the Mercedes in pole position with an excellent 117.2. There's Avinash in second. And you've got Kellogg's in third, Schofield in fourth, Biff fifth, Scottish Ninja sixth, Brindle seventh, Smith in eighth, Winky ninth, Mann in 10th, Backmazo in 11th, Chelsea in the Haas in 12th, KK Matthew 13th, Melvin on the mediums, that's a 14th. And you've got CBG Sambal in the AlphaTauri at 15th, Nikolai Lima 16th, Ghost Riddles 17th, Necromancer 18th, and then Era Voice and Single Track did not set a time. So out of that bunch, who is your call for the main race win, Carl?
My main probably shout, because of how his season's been going so far in Tier 4, I'd have to say it's going to be probably close between probably Manu and Avinash because of their pace up top. But that top section in the 117s is that close that it just depends who's the more consistent around the race, because you could have phenomenal one-lap pace, but then if you're not consistent enough lap after lap after lap, you're just going to suffer in the race. So it's like two different aspects. But I'd probably have to go with Avinash.
Yeah. No, that's a good shout. I think it'll be really interesting to see what sort of tyre strategies we get up the top as well. Also, we don't know if any weather's going to play a part. It does maybe look a little overcast, but no weather at the start here. Let's just see. Let's take you on board. Let's have a look at the tyres. So we've got a good mix. Yeah, top four all starting on the mediums, then both McLarens, 5th and 6th, starting on the hards. Got a good mix of medium hards down the field there. Melvin, our 14th place, starting on the softs, and Necromancer and Single Track doing the same.
Probably looking to get multiple places off the start, try and make time up at the start, and probably stick on a set of hards and see how long we can go for that second stint. My guess would probably be. Yeah,
you can go. Yeah, you can go soft hard, or like you said, if you did 35 laps on the hard, it is possible. You can look after the tyres around here. Tends to be a one-stop with the mediums and the hards. You can go soft, medium, but I don't know how good is the medium tyre around here. Is it a big advantage over the hard, or do you think there's not much in it?
I don't think it was, because even on the worn hards late into the race on Monday, I was still able to keep a consistent pace for that amount of time. So yes, the medium's quicker, but I'd have to say the hard's the better race tyre, because it can hold that lap time for so much longer.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. And once again, as we said, it's a circuit where you want to think about flow. You want a consistent tyre, don't you? You want to have that consistency so you can stay in the flow, because if not, then that's when you start to struggle. And if the tyres start to go off quicker or anything like that, that's where you run into all sorts of problems. Let's see the drivers lining up on the grid here. We've got a
few people missing the grid slots.
Yeah, unfortunately, but fingers crossed. Luckily, we don't put you into the pit and make you do a 5-second stop go as they do in real life. You just get another go, but your tyres might be a little bit cool off the start, and that's affected our man in first place and in third. So Avinash might be looking to take advantage here as they're all lining up. Right, you just see the lights there, left hand side 5 lights, and we wait, and here we go, we're off. Oh, I hope we're off. We're all still standing still. Please go, and we're away. Let's see what happens as they head out to turn number 1. Let's take that all away. We've got the Ferrari. Look at that start from Avinash on the left-hand side. Is he going to go for the move down the inside of the Mercedes? I thought they were almost going to touch. Oh, the Mercedes loses the back end, and it's carnage. He's going into everybody there. And Whitey Manu starting off in first place. He's down in 11th as we've got a McLaren at the back there, a Biff, and unfortunately, in fact, Ghost Riddles. I don't know why it says he's been disqualified, but there's an Alpine in the side there. Who's that? That's Nikolai Lima. Everybody trying to go side by side through here, but there's not quite enough space. 2 cars don't go into one. As we're still on board, there seems to be a little bit of contact there between the Red Bull and it's KK Matthew who finds himself around as well. So A lot of cars changing places, a little bit chaotic, but it's our South African man up front. Avinash leads the way, followed very closely by Kellogg's in that Alfa Romeo, who is hunting him down. Only 2 medium tyre runners at the stop. Maybe those 2 mediums will hope to get away at the start and break the toe on those hard tyre runners. It doesn't seem likely. The Scottish Ninja seems to be right up the gearbox of both of them at the moment. Yeah.
Absolute manic start. Wouldn't have had it any other way, to be honest, especially when you got about 3 or 4 cars wide on the run down to turn 2. But there was a bit of ping pong in places, but everyone managed to keep going, and the middle of the pack is so tightly bunched up at the moment.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I'm just having a look. We've got the man who's on a charge at the moment is single track. Clearly he says, I want to be like my favourite driver, Max Verstappen, and go all the way from 20th up into 4th place. And he hasn't even got DRS yet. Imagine what's going to happen when that Red Bull gets its DRS available on the next lap. Up 16 places. He's been the real winner at the start of this race. Let's go back to the tyres and have a look where our closest battles are on field. I'm going to stick with this lovely little train from single track all the way back down to Winky. Now, get used to this, fellas, ladies, whoever's watching. There's going to be a lot of trains tonight, and we're going to see some frustrated drivers desperate to get past. And actually, I think maybe there'll be no one more frustrated than Whitey Man, who's going side by side with Melvin. And I don't know how he's been able to get the move done there, but he's just sort of willed it to happen. And look at the gap that he's creating on Melvin already. Melvin on the softs, Whitey Man on the hards, and he went past and he's already second ahead. That's quite a charge.
Yeah, I'm just watching further down the grid, because you've got cars bunched up in all areas of the pack, especially from the middle towards the back.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, just up front, they're starting to spread out a little bit. Avinash has second on Kellogg's, who has 2 seconds on Scottish Ninja. Single track on the softs, really making those work as we've got an Aston Martin at the back. I think Necromancer has just got a yellow in section 2, so fingers crossed he's been able to get it going again. I'm just on board with Brindle, who's all over the back of Man. He's looking very racy, but once again, around this track, it's just knowing when to pass and when you can make the move. You're just looking for a mistake with your competitor. And who's that? It was a very slow Alfa Romeo he's gone past. Kellogg, who was in second place, all of a sudden finds himself back in 6th position, so clearly he's had a little moment.
Yeah, and they've coming up to the Aston Martin and Necromancer, which is just having horrible problems in that middle sector, because earlier on the lap prior, I noticed that he dropped it on the exit of 4, and his tyres are just that hot that every time he goes into a corner he's just spinning, so he's not having a good start to that one.
I'm on board with Martin single track. He's all the way up into 3rd now. He's all over the back of Scottish Ninja. He wants to make the move about 2-3 corners now. And look at that power. That car's so much more powerful. He's got the DRS. He's got to slow it down now. Anchor's out. Where's that McLaren? It's behind. There's a little tap. They seem to have got away with it. And it's Martin from P20 on the grid up into P2. Remember, he is on that softer tyre. He will have to maybe pit a couple of laps earlier, but you would take making 18 positions up from the start, wouldn't you? That's an excellent effort from the MRC man.
Really showing his inner Max Verstappen.
Yeah, it's making. Tell you what, some people, you just got to put them in the right car, haven't you? And I think maybe after tonight, Martin will be begging us again to put him in that Red Bull.
I think he needs to change his rig as well from an Alpine to a Red Bull. It may even help him even more.
I think that's probably the only question. Let's all chip in and see what we can do for him. I'm going to go back on board with Brindle, who once again still finds himself behind Man. Now, this is all about patience, I think. Brindle will know he's got the pace. He was a little bit frustrated in qualifying, having that incident with the Ferrari. He probably thinks he's got a couple of tenths up his sleeve. Man, crucially though, is less than a second behind Scottish Ninja, so now you see the other frustration that the only passing place you've got, there's a DRS train as well, and is Brindle closing at all? Look at that. No, there's still a big gap, and if anything, it's Man who's closing on Scottish Ninja, so you're going to have to be a little bit clever with the pit stops around here. Do you reckon that? Do you favour an overcut or an undercut, or does it depend on if you've got the pace on the car in front? Would you just run 4 or 5 laps longer on a pair of mediums if you think that you're far quicker than the car in front?
If it were me, I'd probably. I think most people would probably say the undercut, but I think we had an overcut in Tier 1. So I think it just depends on if you can hold that pace more consistently. Let me get my teeth in. But yeah, I think I'd prefer the overcut, but it just depends if you can hold the pace more than anything. If you can't hold the pace for that long, then it doesn't hurt to go for the undercut, and if it pays off, it pays off.
Yeah, I guess it means it's all about where you, and it's really hard to judge, particularly when you haven't got people all on the pit wall to know where you're going to come out in any traffic. I'm on board with Man here on Scottish Ninja, who ceded that place to Martin a couple of laps ago. Aston Martin thinking about the old switcheroos. He goes very wide, but he's just alongside enough. Is he going to stick up the wheel at the inside of the next turn as they go side by side round the left-hander? Look at that extra grip that he's got on the medium tyre, and yet that is a classic move around Hungary. Just kept the racing line, was able to force the McLaren wide, and that's the Aston Martin up into P3. Scottish Ninja going backwards a little bit at the moment. He just needs to hang on to this car in front because, again, he's got a very racy brindle behind him. As I was saying before, he was keeping up with Man. He'll want to get a McLaren driver next.
The track's quite spread out now, to be frank.
Yeah, we've got a lot of drivers spreading out. As you said, you've got to follow around here, but it seems like everybody's finding their pace. This is the real battle. Look at that from Brindle. You know when a car is just quicker. He is pushing that McLaren along. He wants it out the way. He says, no, you're in my bit of road. And I needed to start taking the long way round just so I can drive comfortably. But he's going to hope now. Scottish Ninja is out of that DRS zone.
He's gone out of turn 4, and that's a full safety.
Full safety, so Brindle was lining up the move. He's going to have to pull out of that. Well, what do you do now if you're in the mediums? Do you think you go on hard? Do you stick? Do you twist?
I think majority of people will probably. I mean, it don't hurt to probably go for the hards because they will make it from here. But you're probably banking on another safety car just to probably make sure they do.
Yes, yeah. That's the problem here is that. Well, with 4 or 5 safety cars, like you said, you did one set of hards, 35 laps, you can make it. And if you can keep position around here, position is key, then why not get you a free pit stop out of the way? For those who started on the hards, I think taking the mediums, over 28 laps or whatever it is, 29 laps, it's going to be very difficult indeed. So those that are running on the hards at the moment might stick. I'm going to stay on board with our race leader, who's just coming round to the pit entrance now. I think we're going to see a Red Bull in the pits. I think Martin's going to get off of those softs. Big question is what band of tyre is he going to go on? Is he going to go soft, medium, or soft?
They'll be getting to the end of their life anyway because he's been on them since the start.
Yeah. Stick on board with him then. Let's see what goes on. He's in the pits. He's got the Aston Martin, a Man behind him as well. And he's going for a set of mediums. So he'll struggle to get to the end, as I said. But maybe he knows something we don't. Maybe he just thinks, no, I like having a softer tyre around here. I know I can make the positions up because he's already done it once. And he only files out, look at that, into P6. So, yeah. The highest man on a pair of medium tyres who's made the pit stop, P6. I'd be pretty happy with that, actually. If I was Martin, he could be lining himself up for a potential victory if everything goes his way. Who else has made a pit stop then? We've got Nikolai Lima, who's in the pits as well. And we've got Kellogg's at the back, who had a really good start of the race. He's put a pair of softs on and Era Voice on the hards in the Alpine. As well. Nikolai Lima puts a pair of hards on, so he'll be looking to go to the end on those.
I think Martin's gone for the more aggressive strategy because he's using his knowledge from Monday because the amount of safety cars we had. So he's probably got it set in his head. Right, I know there's probably going to be at least definitely another safety car at some point. So it probably doesn't hurt to go for the more aggressive strategy.
Yeah, I think you're right there, and it's not bad because then you know. You can, if some people are forced to pit off those mediums, off those hards early when there isn't a safety car, and you can stretch them out to the next one. That's when you make up loads of positions. It's why a pit stop under the safety car is nearly always a good idea because you are saving so much time, and that's why you can see the grid really get mixed up. You can't just have pace, can you? You've got to have the knowledge and a bit of race know-how if you're going to stand a chance of winning. Just wait, we've probably got another lap of this safety car, so I'm going to go back to my Hungary first time winners quiz. First one was in 1993, next one another world champion, his first win was in 2003.
Yeah, you say 2003, that's Alonso.
Correct.
It's coming back to me now eventually.
Yeah.
You say the year and it's like yep. Yeah.
So when he won at the time, he was F1's youngest ever F1 winner, a feat that would go on to be surpassed by the likes of, I think, Sebastian Vettel and then Max Verstappen, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Vettel did it first at Monza in, I think it was 08.
Yeah, that was in the Alpha Tauri, wasn't it? That was the shot
and then obviously Max went and pipped that one in Spain.
Yeah, his first
race in the Red Bull.
Yeah. So, it's good. So we've got Damon Hill, 1993, Fernando Alonso, 2003, Jenson Button, 2006. Next one was 2008. Now, this person's win... Oh, you've got the last one as well, which is Esteban Ocon in 2021. So, the person who won in 2008, it's his only race win in F1, and it was the 100th race winner in Formula 1. That's what I'll leave you with, as we've got the news that the safety car is coming in this lap. So
I'm going to have a stab at Heikki Kovalainen.
Oh, you put your left foot in, your right foot out. Heikki Kovalainen. Correct. Yes, you're absolutely right. Who had a torrid season in the McLaren that year, but he was able to get one win to his name. I'm very glad that he was. But we're going to stick on board Avinash, who's hoping to take the win home tonight. When is he going to go under this safety car? He goes now, and he's left Scottish Ninja. Yeah, sleeping, and it's Brindle who might have an opportunity. Manu as well, who had that problem at the start. He's found his way all the way up in fourth now as they head out of the first corner. It's very clean behind them. I don't know what's happened. Winky and single track a long way behind. Field has some really big gaps to it. I don't know if there was just some sleeping or there's people had to slow down before the line, but yeah, look at how spread out the field is back behind single track. So you go all the way back from Chelsea. Fingers crossed this time everybody's got through without much harm to them. As we see this guy's hair, look at the different, look at that lovely shot as they go down and up back in, but it's single track on the mediums, making his way up to Winky in front. I'm going to stay on board. I'm going to look at the fastest drivers. Look at this trail of cars. Schofield, Smith, all of them. Schofield in the Alfa Romeo started on the second row of the grid, so he must have had a slight issue as well right at the start. Finds himself down in P13. Oh gosh, there's been a huge incident with Smith there. They seemed to lose it under traction and speared into the wall. That's a yellow, but I don't think we're going to have another safety car, are we? No, it's a Red Bull in front of Schofield. Goes very wide. Let's get Kane Matthew. That's the point. You've got to make the move while they're going slow, because if not, it's just going to park it on the apex, and all of a sudden you've lost all your momentum. I'm going to keep on board with Schofield here. Is he going to have the better run out of the last corner? If he didn't tuck into that slipstream now, of course there's no DRS this lap, but he's going to go for a move. Late move round the outside. That Red Bull is still there, still there. It's got the title over. Of course, there's been contact. You can see just as there's a little tap on the backside, and both of them come together. They're both facing the wrong way, and unfortunately for those two, they'll find themselves down in 15th and 16th place. Yeah,
watching a lovely scrap between Man and Sambal at the moment.
Let's go on board with that one. Oh yeah, gosh, Man is all over the back of that AlphaTauri. It's so tempting, isn't it? You come down to that chicane, sometimes you think, oh, if I've just got a little bit of a lead, maybe I can stick a wheel up the inside, around the outside, but it's just impossible, I think, to get through the chicane. You've got to have so much overspeed. But look, as we see that sweeping overhead shot, how much more speed was the Aston Martin driver carrying through there? And you can see he's having to poke on the brakes, having to slow down. He doesn't want to slow down, but he also doesn't want to slam into that car ahead. And that's really quick with the path of Kellogg's behind, who's now all up over the gearbox. He's using the softer tyre, of course, and he's hoping to emulate what single track would have done in the first stint and maybe make up a load of positions. Stick on board with him as well. We head down to turn one. Look at that speed difference. I think he's on the ERS. Is he going to make the move? He's got the inside line as we go down into turn one. Aston Martin taking a very wide line, nearly coming together, but he just cuts that off. And it's up into P9, and that's very simple for the Alfa Romeo driver, up into 9th place. Where else are there a couple of battles going out on, but we're on track.
It's getting dicey up the front. Oh, Brindle, I think, has made a mistake on the exit of 4.
Yeah, I just came to him, unfortunately.
Full safety.
Oh, full safety, that seems strict. I understand that he was facing the wrong way, but nobody's come out. But I do promise you, safety cars were on reduced, but sometimes Michael Massey just likes going for a drive. He likes this track as much as the rest of us. So, another safety car. Now, what do you think? 11 laps. If you're a medium tyre runner, you've got to come in for the hards now, right? The hards definitely.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer if you're on the medium tyres at this moment in time, because I think the pit stop window generally for mediums is about lap 14, 15, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, so it is a very easy decision. As we see the race leader, Hutch come into the pits, I'm just going to stick on board with him. Let's see what colour tyre he's got, and as expected, yes, we've got that lovely white band. So on to the hards, as well as one of the other people who was very raced to begin with. Whitey Manu finds himself up in 6th place on a fresh pair of hards. That's a nice place to be in. I think that's been a good recovery drive from him, considering what happened on lap 1. Oh, he finds himself going side by side with AlphaTauri. Remember, boys, you're not racing yet. And that's the AlphaTauri having to cede the place. And he battles his way up into 8th. So let's see what's going on.
Obviously, the big beneficiary of this safety car at this point in the race, obviously, is Max Verstappen himself, Mr. Martin Hills, in second.
It is. I mean, I think that safety car's come a little bit too early for him. He's going to be the only person out there on mediums that, hey, it's going to be a real battle to get those to the end. However, he'll fancy his chances, I reckon, of taking Scottish Ninja at the restart, and then it's all about building enough of a lead to try and make up the difference that's going to happen when he has to go into the pits once more. But it's a nice place to be in, track position around here, all important. Trying to see who else has gone for the strategy. This a group of drivers at the back there, Schofield, Biff, they're the ones going on to a fresh pair of mediums. Mediums around here, 20 laps, is that possible? Fresh from here?
One particular person told me it was possible to do 20 laps at a stretch on the mediums.
It doesn't sound like it's going to be a nice time.
Do I name him though? Do I name him how, or do I save him the troubles? No, I'm going to name him Chris Bailey.
Ooh.
Chris Bailey says it is doable. 20 laps on mediums.
Okay. Well, fingers crossed. No more safety cars, and you can take it to the end, and you can keep a bit of pace in there. Oh goodness me! Sambal facing the wrong way, unfortunately. We'll go off that, but definitely a case of Ericsson hitting him there, I think. The old classic. It's really hard, isn't it? You're trying to get heat into these tyres, and all of a sudden you find yourself facing the wrong way. He is on an older pair of hards as well, so that is more likely to happen. Fingers crossed, yeah, he's got that car facing the right direction, and he'll make it up to the back of the pack. We should be going racing again this lap. What's good about around here is it is 35 laps, all of them quite short. They come really quickly, don't they? So we will be racing again here soon.
Yeah, that's one thing. Because of how this track is, with its obviously the high downforce and everything, you don't realise how short of a lap it is, because it goes by relatively quickly because of how flowing the track is.
You get into that mindset. I think I had.
Yeah.
I tried a little challenge over to go cockpit view only, and I went around Hungary for a long race, and I turned all of the HUD assists off, so it's just you and the steering wheel, and it doesn't even give you a lap counter, right? So you are just driving, and that is one, that's really fun. If you've got a spare hour and a half, I'd say try that. And two, you get so into the zone until suddenly your race engineer's on there saying, oh, by the way, you've got 5 laps left, and it's like when somebody's trying to call you in, like boat number 3, please come in. It's like, no, I don't want to. Oh, give me just 20 more laps. We're having such a good time. But
come in, it's time for tea. No, yeah. 5 more minutes.
Exactly. But we've got Scottish Ninja here. Let's see when he is going to go on the restart. He's holding it now. You can see his ERS is at the max, so off he's away. But look at the racy single track behind him. Weaving around, 1 move, 2 move. He thinks about it, but says, no, I'm going to be sensible. I'm going to stay in second place. Oh, but that McLaren's gone very wide, and through goes single track. Up into first place. Oh, it's what Max Verstappen would have wanted. Christian Horner is punching the air on the track wall as the Red Bull takes a deserved lead. He's in first place. Now it's his race. He's got to control the pace. What can Scottish Ninja do behind? Let's go back. Let's have a look at this battle. Man in 5th place is all over the back of Chelsea, who's had a lovely shout out in the YouTube chat. B17 wanting the Chelsea man to do well. At the moment it's Man in the ascendancies once more. He lines up into that chicane. Just doesn't go for it, but the pressure's there. Look at that shot as you see them firing through there, nose to tail. Man once again can probably draw that Haas's gearbox from memory. He wants that place, and look at the tyre difference. He's on 7 lap of younger hards. He can maybe go to the end on the set of tyres. He's got to conserve it so he can't lean on them too hard, but it's clear that he has a little bit more pace than the Haas driver in front of him. I'm just going to stick on board because now it's all about the exit out this last corner. It doesn't matter if you're faster in these turns. If you don't nail this last corner, you've got no chance of getting past. That gap is coming down, down, down. Look at it. The Haas man just stuck to his line. Unfortunately, he could make a defensive move, and the Aston Martin goes up into 4th place. Easy as you like. And does it with no dramas. Excellent move there from them. Oh, what's going on?
Sorry for that. I was just watching 3 wide into turn 1.
Oh, I think I've just got the end of that. Brindle, Geke, Mate, back. Meso as the Alfa Romeo driver. Schofield goes up the inside there. Look at these battles we've got in the back. As we've got Schofield and Gege Matthew, they have nose to tail. There's even a little bit of movement. Is the McLaren driver thinking of making it 2 through the blind corner? He can't, can he? It's there on the inside with the ghosting AlphaTauri, thank goodness. Otherwise, they're going to come together. He's still there, though. I think the AlphaTauri, although it shows he's a ghost, they're going to come together. But it's the McLaren driver who makes it through, up into 13th place. As back Meso falls back into 14th. Yeah, maybe he is a spooky ghost. Maybe he is going a little bit slower than we'd like. But still, excellent move there. And now, look, we've got the 2 Alfa Romeo drivers hunting down number 10, Geke Matthew, as one of them already makes the move into turn 12. That is a valid overtaking spot, and he makes it stick. Now it's the time for the other Alfa Romeo driver. Kellogg's is looking at the right hand side, that's not really there, but see how close he is to the gearbox. He's right up there, he's got a jink outside, there's been a little bit of contact. The DRS is not available yet, so he's going to have to use his ERS, and look, there's a McLaren behind as well. It's a very late move there from the Red Bull driver. He dived down the inside, last on that breakers, and somehow he's managed to keep that position. He's still in 10th place. It's unfortunate. I think we've had Aero Voice go round. these two, I think Kellogg's thought that move was done. And all of a sudden the Red Bull man came back as we've got another
Nicola
driver.
Lima's lost it in between 3 and 4.
Yeah. Oh yes.
DNF on the right hand side, if I'm not mistaken, looking at the track map.
Yeah, no, I saw that. It was losing a bit, but as the safety cars are so reliable in this game, we will not get a safety car for that, but we will get it for some other bizarre things. But I'm going to go back to this train that is forming behind. Okay, Matthew, look, you've got 4 cars there. A McLaren, an AlphaTauri, and a Ferrari on hards, all trying to get past this Dutchman, all trying to make it stick round here. He's on 16-lap-old hards. He's going to have to dip into the pit soon. But everyone behind him doesn't, and they want to make this place up. Let's just stick with this, with the McLaren driver. So again, look at the drive he gets out. Now they will have DRS this lap, and the Red Bull driver won't. He's got to pick a line, one move, one defensive move, that's allowed, and the McLaren's got the inside. He's going to have to slow it down. He does. The Red Bull got it on the exit. He won't have the DRS. So again, he makes that move stick. Still in 10th place though, thanks to a little spin in front of him. So once again, we go back to battle between Kellogg's and the Red Bull. Now look at this. As they head side by side into the blind corner. He is, oh goodness me, you can just see the difference in closing speed and how he's having to jam on the brake. As you said, it's all about following through here. Oh my goodness, he's not, is he? No, he's not, but he is very close. Oh, he's going to go for a first person view here. Look at this, look at the track, look at the room he's got on the left hand side. He thinks he's a wheel ahead, but he can't do it. Red Bull is just parking itself on the apex, and he's on very well, he just lost the back end! Oh!
Massive snap.
Yeah, you could see it, couldn't you? Just suddenly out of nowhere, the car gave way, and all that hard work.
How's he still going? Because that was a heavy impact. I wonder if he's got damage to that rear.
It was. You can't see. There's no visual damage. I can't see any damage to the car, and he's not going into the pits. Not that you can get it fixed, unfortunately. You might be able to on the next iteration of this game. For the moment, he's going to carry on, and if he's lost a little bit of downforce...
That was a vicious snap.
It was. It came out of absolutely nowhere, wasn't it? We were in the first-person perspective, and all of a sudden, you just felt the car go. It's scary. You're just the passenger there, but thankfully, he's able to carry on. Now, so the battle's going on. Have a look at Avinash and Winky. Avinash, of course, was our positive. He's gone wide as that goal. He's going to have to defend from Brindle behind. Goodness me, it shows that if you get a bit aggressive around here and get off the racing line, everybody following so tight, you're going to be eaten up by cars behind. And this is a gorgeous looking train. Look at this battle, all very high quality racers, clean racers, desperate to get past. And you know who's chilling out front? It's single track. 5-second lead he's got on Scottish Ninja. He might be thinking of going all the way to the end if he's still in first place and has a lead of that kind of distance. It's going to be up to the others to hunt him down.
Are we already on the 23 game?
Not quite yet, no.
Looking at it, you probably think we would be with the way that single track's that far ahead in the Red Bull.
Wow. It is insane. He's definitely got the special package here tonight. Avinash goes up the inside of Winky. We're waiting to see who's going to come out in front. There he is, he's coming in front of the Williams man, Brindle behind. Now Avinash needs to put the pedal to the metal down. He needs to try and get that gap. He thinks Winky's going to be a cork in the bottle. He wants to extend that lead to over a second. So we've got Alfa Romeo in the background. That's Schofield spinning coming out of turn number 4-5 that is. So yeah, just lost it under traction. He was in that battle and all the way.
Turn 3, Rob, to correct you. Turn 3.
Thank you very much. So... oh yes, I can count. Looking at it, so we count 1, 2, 3 on the map. So yeah, he was up in about 7th place, finds himself down in 11th, and it's been a torrid day for those Alfa Romeo drivers. They've got the pace, but they're just unable to have that consistency, and it's frustrating them. They've got to make sure that they can make the positions up and keep the car facing the right way. I'm going to go back to Brindle. As I said, Avinash has done what I said he'd do. He's made up about a second on Winky. You can see how hard it is to overtake over there, and once you're through, the type of speed you can make up. all over the back. He's going to have the DRS. Winky is not, as we have got Scottish Ninja into the pits. He was in second place on the hard tyres. He's going onto the medium as we've got Brindle. It's a textbook move down the inside, takes up all of the inside line. If you've got Schofield, who's out, and I don't know if he's decided to, if that's in the entrance to the pit lane.
Track. That's on track because the safety cars come out. That's got to be on track.
I'm trying to see where it is. Yeah, I can't see it in the pit lane. Oh goodness me! Maybe you can see just over the pit wall. Oh no, you can't. But I'm going to go on board with Necromancer if the car's still there. But that's going to bring out our third safety car of the night. Oh boy, what do you do if you're single track? Then here you've got a 13-second lead. You think that's enough? Well, I think that's enough time to get in and get out and be maybe P1. Be certainly quite competitive.
I would definitely pit with that kind of gap.
Yeah. Let's look at it now. It's 13.2 seconds to the Aston Martin behind, who also is on the hard, so they could go to the end. I think it's going to be close here, of course. Average pit stop is usually around about, 20-25 seconds around here, but under safety car conditions, you can usually take about 10 seconds off. Who else is going to pit? Winky's definitely.
I think some of the hard tyres will probably switch to mediums as well to have the faster tyre. Just get rid of the hards and do that. So you probably find out some of the hard runners will probably come in.
Well, look at that. It's worked out perfectly for Martin because all 5 drivers behind him, I think to a man, have decided that, and including Man 5168, that the only driver to stay out was Biff, who has a time penalty. Let's just see what penalty. He's got a 3-second penalty, just a smattering of penalties through the field. We'll just take you through those in a moment. So Biff on 3 seconds, Matthew on 3, Gigi Sambal on 8, Y2 Manu on 3. We've known he's got a big pace, so that might affect him towards the end of the race, and Necromancer on 3 as well. But boy, Martin's had the pace all night. He's going to have a car behind him on far older medium tyres. I think that's worked out really well. If we don't get another safety car, I think it could be up the road and away.
But if I'm not mistaken, that's currently Biff in that wing, because obviously Martin has the demotion because of being higher tier driver.
Yes, of course, yeah. So Biff will be cursing the fact that he's got that 3-second penalty. He's going to want to stick with single track to try and get the tier 4 win on track. And then look at all of those drivers behind. A lot of them are on the hards, but as you said, they've all made the decision to come in from the mediums that will definitely get to the end without much trouble. I think unless we get another safety car, a lot of these people will decide that this is the tyre I'm sticking on till the end of the race. That Mazer, the odd one out, he's still on the hards, but he's also a ghost, so I don't know if he's still in the session, so it might be an odd bit of strategy from an AI driver. Who else? The only stander here, Necromancer's on the mediums, down in 17th place. He might want to get off those if he gets the opportunity. And we've got Pelods in the Alfa Romeo. He's taking the softs, and can you get the softs? 13 laps right here?
No.
No, yeah, thank you. I think that's the correct answer. In short, no. I mean, I'm going to be fascinated to see what he does and if he can get there. More for me if you're able to complete it like that. But it'll be fascinating to see what happens. I think. Oh yes, and Necromancer, as said, he's the final one who decides to hop into the pits, and he's going to go for another set of mediums. So we're into I'd say like quite a different little race now. Just the field has been reset. Everybody's on the same tyre. It's almost like we've got a sprint race on our hands. 14 laps, no pit stops. See what you can do. And I think now it's all about track position, isn't it? Really, the strategy bit's over.
Yeah, it's you've done half the race now. The strategy part of the race, as you say, is done and dusted. This is part of the race where track position is pretty much priority number 1. And with it being like a so-called sprint race, as you say, at this current point now, because obviously not many laps to go. It's who can keep the head the best at this point in time now.
Totally. Oh, safety car in this lap, so we are going to go racing again. Let's go up to the front then with our man, our main man, the man who's had max power tonight, Martin, in that Red Bull, really making it his home tonight, leading from the front. What can he do on this restart? He found himself in second place last time. Oh, that hit, he's gone early there. Look at that power down there, and has he caught fifth, sleeping a little bit? That gap's kept fairly consistent. But I think that's going to work in his favour for the rest of the field as they spread out, because, yeah, look behind, that's about 0.8 seconds to the McLaren man inside. McLaren's 2 and 3. I think Scottish Ninja is going to want to get past his teammate as soon as possible. The important thing is that you keep it clean around here as well, because the last thing you want to do is a bit like Max Verstappen and Danny Ricciardo. Round turn 2, you don't want to find yourself in the other's radiator and taking them out of the race. At the back here, we've got a lot of drivers filtering out. I'm going to go to the back with Kellogg's and Manu. This Kellogg's is really over the back of Aeroboy. Who's that? We've got a car in the wall there. Is that back Mazo? Oh, goodness me, that's such a shame. Oh, goodness me, sorry, I was going bored with Kellogg's there, who I thought was going to make the, I don't want to call it the forbidden move, but it's quite a dodgy move to try and do it into the chicane. He thought he had some of the overspeed, but backed out. There just wasn't the room. But he is looking racy on those soft tyres. But like we said, how long are those tyres going to last? When are they going to fall off? Because I think it's a question of when and not if. He's really going to have to make up a lot of time and then park his car on the apex and just pray that those tyres hang on.
Yeah. Quite close together up near the front.
Yes, they are. I'm just going to be... Oh, that was a late move, sorry, from Kellogg's there, who's in the slipstream of Aeroboys, and at the very last minute yanked it out of the fire, and that's up into 11th place. Let's go back up the front. Like you said, I think that battle between Brindle and Avanash and Man, all of those people who qualified really well, now battling it out for the lead. As I said, we know the strategy part's over. You don't want to be stuck behind the car in front. They've got the same tyres as you. You know they're not going into the pits. It's all about who can keep their cool, who can not make a mistake. Again, Brindle is the one looking so racy. Oh gosh, we had a change in the McLarens up the front there. I think I missed it, but Scottish Ninja is now in second place and Biff is in third on those older medium tyres. Is he going to be able to...
I think with a bit of teamsmanship there, so I think Biff let Scottish Ninja through, and he's probably going to play the second driver role and probably try and hold up the cars behind the best he can to allow his teammate to escape.
Yeah, it's a real... He's got to be the Fernando Alonso to the Esteban Ocon up front. He's got to make that car so wide now. But look, Man is looking so racy. There's no DRS yet. Is he thinking about sticking a wheel out the inside? He thinks. And once again, it's just all about teasing there. You've got to make yourself aware to the other teammates. Say, hey, I'm here. Don't let off. For the moment, it's all nice and safely through here. Gosh, Brindle looks quick. You can see him accelerate to every apex and have to slow down. Only takes one mistake though, one tap on the car in front and it can all change. Got to be very careful. Look at that. He's got the front right tyre on that grey bit at turn 5 and I was heart in mouth stuff, because usually that leads to a car spinning round, but this time it didn't. You can see the gaps there, 0.2. It means he really is pushing that car along front. Yellow in the first sector. That's back Mazo, unfortunately, who's facing the right way now, and on he goes. Oh, Avanash again. As you said, it's all about following round here in this train from Man all the way back to Brindle and Winky joining on the action. It's heart and mouth stuff.
Yeah, and it's a lot like probably aim was. It's helping Scottish Ninja to pull away because Scottish Ninja has opened at least a 1.7 second gap to his teammate. So as Man makes the move down the inside with the DRS.
Yeah, and he's again that second
he's got
burst.
It stuck.
Yeah, that second burst of DRS is really important, isn't it? They were side by side, and if it wasn't for that, then I don't think he would have made that move happen. And yeah, Biff unfortunately is going backwards, but he's going back slowly. He's doing it lap by lap, and only if he's out of DRS range. I think it's up to Biff now to try and stay in DRS of Man, not let that gap become a second, and then he can be a bigger help to his teammate out front. He's already done half the job, 2 seconds now, but we've seen how racy Man is. Let's see if he takes it down as Avinash. I don't know where he's got that job done. I don't know.
I think Biff probably made a mistake in it. He allowed Avinash and Brindle to just hop positions there.
Mikey, that is such a shame. Yeah, maybe those mediums are really starting to struggle now. They are 14 laps old. They will be coming towards the end of their life. Usually you'd want to bin them after about 15, 16 laps. So he might be struggling compared to those much younger tyres around him as well. Man,
and his penalty won't help either.
No,
so
precisely.
That'll drop him a bit further down.
Precisely. We were talking about the job he had to do to try and hold up Man. Man was 2 seconds behind Scottish Ninja. That gap already down to 1.3. So, Aston Martin driver not giving up. He says, no, I want the Tier 4 win tonight. And I've got it in my sights. I think we're going to go right down to the wire with this because as he catches up with Scottish Ninja ahead, he's also pulling along Avinash and Brindle. And as I said, all night, we all know how quick those three are. I think we're going to see a really titanic battle as the laps start to run out. Single track as well. Quick mention to him, all on his own, having a lovely race, 6 seconds ahead of the nearest car. So, yeah, I think he's just got to keep it in between the right lines and keep it safe. But the real battle is back here as we see a hair over that chicane. Stick with it. But now, what would be really interesting is, I said that gap was down to came back to 2 seconds. Man hasn't really made any inroads this lap, so I don't know if Scottish Ninja had a small moment, but he hasn't made like the 1 second difference that I thought he was going to make.
You got Winky trying to slowly creep his way up onto this train now as well, because he's only about 1.3 back off of Brindle, so the Williams slowly reeling in this bunch of three.
I just want to see if I can get the position change for Winky. Winky at 2 points. It's been quite a solid race, hasn't it, from Winky? Quiet, haven't spoken about him much, but he finds himself up in 2 places.
Trying to go around the outside of Man.
Yes, I can see that. Gosh, that was brave from both drivers. Last thing you want to do is make contact and suddenly open it up for Brindle behind. I think that was respectful racing. And it's Man who keeps the position, but Justin, he'll know that he's under pressure. He's seen what can happen behind us. We've got Brindle thinking about is he going to go and try around the outside of that chicane? Yeah, it was never on, unfortunately. So, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to showing the tyres again. That Mazo with a 3 second penalty. Unfortunately, those penalties starting to creep in, but most importantly for those up top, all from 1 to 6, no penalties in sight. So this is going to be a straight race to the finish, settled on track over the line just as we like it. Look at that Haas, using up every inch of the road. He knows that he's a little bit quicker. He's having to drive around Avinash, but not into the back of him. Crucially up front, Man as well. That gap to Scottish Ninja is now down. It's under a second. Can he do anything? Now he'll have access to the DRS. It's wide open and you can see the light on the front of that McLaren. It's flashing. It means he hasn't got much of that ERS left. He's going to go the long way around on the outside. Is that gap going to close? He's got to leave a bit of space. He does. He's going to have the DRS again. He's not quite going to have the run. Is he? No, he's going to have the inside line down into turn 3, but the McLaren's still in the lead. Oh, that was excellent defence from the McLaren man. And boy, we might go all again through the next lap. I'm not careful, I'm going to lose my voice because there's 6 more laps of racing to go.
Absolutely mental at the front with how close, and it just shows you that even though these is like the beginner, as it's labelled, the tier 4 beginner tier, they are really putting a show on for us tonight, especially these in particular drivers from second to fifth, so close together, but so respectful. It's amazing to watch.
Totally agree. It's like, you know, who needs esports when you've got this? The driving has been exceptional from start to finish. We've seen moves. People haven't been scared to make moves, but also at the same time, like you say, it's been clean. There's been, you know, people know when to back out and when the contact is. Look at Avalanche. Look at the purchase he got out of that last corner, and he's going to have the LS. Is he going to make a 2-for-1 move now as he tries to line up the McLaren in front? We know how well Scottish Ninja's defended. He goes across.
Contact was that?
Oh, that was slight contact.
Yeah, Scottish Ninja's right. No, he's really lost out on that.
Yeah, and as we go around, goodness me, we're going to have the... Oh, they've come together!
Oh, no.
It was all getting a bit racy, wasn't it? And I think there was a bit of madness that started from that turn one. So seeing it from my perspective, what happened is he had the McLaren on the inside, and as it came out, he was trying to cut the line off to the Ferrari of Avanash, who was going round the outside. But I don't know if he lost under traction or couldn't get a bit of understeer, but ended up driving off track. Avanash has to go off track to avoid him, make space for the Aston Martin driver in man, who's able to get round, and then Avanash has had that whole run compromised, so he's got Brindle right on the back of him. And as they go into turn 4, isn't it, that sweeping right-hander, I think the Haas was there, had a wheel alongside the back, but just, I don't know if there was the space. We'll have to see it all in the stewards, but yeah, we've been saying how clean and respectful these drivers are. Unfortunately, we've had a bit of contact. And that means Winky now was in P6. He finds himself in P4. Could he be on the podium tonight as he goes round the outside of Scottish Ninja again? Has to put the anchors out. He needs to leave that space on the outside. Does better that time and is able to keep third place. The McLaren man is really defending for his life as we go around, and Winky is looking to make up the time. Worked out well for Man though, who's now got a 2.5 second lead on the man in third place.
Yeah, it's all starting to quieten down now after all that scrapping amongst the those sets of cars. I mean, you don't like to see it like that happen because it kind of ruins the enjoyment of the battle, but like it just takes that one minor slip up whether you have to go offline because you've to either save your line or you've had to compromise it, and all it takes is that one car in the wrong place, and either one goes or they both go, and in this case they both ended up going. And I'd probably say it was a racing incident in my opinion from what you described.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure we'll get loads more angles of it when we're in the stewards, and they'll be able to tell us definitively. But it was chaos. But it's one of those things, like you said, it happens when you're racing that close wheel to wheel, and it's getting towards the end, and one person goes offline, and you get into the flow round here, don't you? Just trying to keep that car in front. You know where your braking points are. You know where the traction is. You find yourself offline, and you don't, and all of a sudden it's so alien, and that's when mistakes happen. I think I saw a great tip about trying to learn tracks or trying to race. They said once you've mastered the racing line, do 2 or 3 laps if you can in practice, where you purposely avoid the apex. Try and find the grip. Try and know that, right, particularly on places that you think are likely to be overtaking spots, just so you get an idea of how can I carry speed if I am going on not the optimum line. And if you have time to do that or master that, then it will pay off when you're finally in the race conditions. Anyway, back to Avanash, who finds himself, he's down in 7th at the moment. Of course, he was up in those podium positions, but he still finds himself behind Biff. He's made that move once before. He'll be desperate to get up into P6 and chase Chelsea, who's only up the road. As the laps really start to go now, we're on lap 33. So, oh no, 34, sorry. So, 2 laps left for our late race leader, who has had a quiet one out front, hasn't he? He's got a bit of a masterclass from Martin tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have expected it any other way. He's a tier 2 driver and a very well-rounded driver, very knowledgeable, knows when to pick his points, when to push, when not to push. Knows roughly when to pit, when not to pit, even under when you have so many safety cars. Monday would have definitely helped with that, because he would have thought, right, we had so many safety cars on that race, we had so many safety cars that race, we had so many safety cars this race, so my guess is they're going to be so many safety cars here, so I'm going to plan for that ahead of time. And he's probably just enjoying himself, because he's just sitting in to fill a seat and just probably to have a bit of fun.
Yeah, precisely, and he's going to have a lot of fun. He's able to bring it home tonight as he brings it on to the last lap. I'm just going to go on board with Winky. This is the fight for the podium place on track. He's got 0.5 left. Let's see if he can do anything, because this really is the last chance saloon now. Can he get there? Such a big gap to the McLaren driver up front. Scottish Ninja has done such a good job tonight of making that McLaren wide. And you might think that's it, as Avinash goes up into 6th place, makes the move on the McLaren driver up past Biff. So that might be the last overtaking opportunity for him. Manu in the Mercedes, yes, also makes the move on the McLaren driver. Those mediums now 22 laps old, clearly struggling I think now, but it's been a valiant effort from Biff. And we go back up front to Winky, who's 0.4 seconds. He's probably got one more opportunity, maybe into turn 12, but he has to keep the speed through this set of corners. I'm going to stick on board. How ambitious is he going to be? Scottish Ninja looks like he's got the beating of him in this section. He's not up the gearbox, which is what you need to be. Now I think he's going to be all over except the shouting. A single track, what's happening? He's going very wide, he's very slow.
I think he's run out of fuel.
Has he run out of fuel? Oh my goodness me, or is he letting? I don't know if he's letting somebody pass, but it's Man. In a shock to events, it's Man who's going to take the win on the road. Aston Martin first place. Martin in the Red Bull fourth. It's going to be fourth as he goes, lets the others pass. So it's Scottish Ninja second, Winky third. Our Red Bull man, who very gallantly, I think that's very gracious of him to let the Tier 4 drivers have their moment in the sun up on the podium. He finishes fourth, but you know what a good ride he's had. Chelsea finishes in fifth, Avinash in sixth. Y2 Manu in 7th, 5th, 8th. Brindle comes across in 9th. Smith will finish in 10th, the last of the point scoring positions. You've got Geke Matthew 11th. Kellogg's will come across the line in 12th. Hero Voice, Shruti Knight for the Tier 1 man that comes over in 13. Back Mazo, 14th. And Nick Romance in 15th. But we're just going to have to wait for Back Mazo to come in. And while we're waiting for it, I know we were all waiting on the results of a very important football match. Some men in sky blue could have made history for the very first time, and I'm pleased to report that Coventry City have beaten Middlesbrough and are through to the Championship playoff final. I'm sorry, Hodgie, but it's our time. Up the sky blues, come on. Oh, and let's just see as Back Mazo comes across the line. 14th place, tricky race, but it's always nice to see make it to the end. Oh. Boy, that was an interesting race, though. Who's your driver of the day? Lot to pick from, isn't there?
There's quite a few people. I mean, Scottish Ninja defending like a lion lap after lap after lap. His teammate as well, 22, 23 laps on those medium tyres. Ballsy thing to do, but made it work. Still came some points. I can't pick because there's quite a few names. There's just so many names you could pick from. It's a difficult one because they've all put on a phenomenal show, but I'm going to have to probably give it to Man probably though, because he's been very controlled all race, deserves the win as well.
Yeah, I think he was very controlled. We saw a lot of battles, but he was the one who was able to stay out of trouble, and that's why he's got the race win. Shouts to Winky as well, P3, who I think also did really well as well. Both of those two starting P9 and P8 on the grid. Keep your nose clean. It's excellent work there. And
I mean, Chelsea as well, from P11 to P5.
Oh yeah, no, that's an excellent drive as well. Once again, yeah, another driver who was quite quiet. Didn't see a lot of him in the race, but coming home, getting the points. So yeah, excellent drive for them all, and a big shout out. I know we've mentioned him a lot in this stream, but Martin Singletrack, not only for having a great ride, not only do I really want to see those first 2 laps when he went up from 20th to like P4, but also giving the win away at the end. I think that's a really sportsmanlike like to do. So let's take you through the grid. Man, Scottish Ninja, Winky, Singletrack, Chelsea, Avinash, Manu, Biff, Brindle and Smith make up your top 10. And it's Geke Matthew, Kellogg's, Aero Voice, Back Mazo, Necromancer, and then we've got 5 who did not finish, which unfortunately CB Sandal, Schofield, Lima, Melvin and Ghost Riddles. Thank you ever so much for joining me tonight. It's been a pleasure having you here with me as well, Carl. Fingers crossed we'll get to do it all again next week. Take care.